Let me share with you in my book, Disruption by Design, the key concept of that book, and I'm not suggesting you go out and buy it, even though it is available on Kindle. The key concept of that book is disruption is exactly the same as innovation. Disruption and innovation are both the same thing. They're both about change. It's just disruption when change is happening to you and you're trying to survive, and it's innovation when you're creating the change and you're open to change, and that's when you thrive. So if you look at these 6 levels of cultures when it comes to change, are you in a surviving culture or a thriving culture? So let me explain what each of these is, and then I'll ask you to type in the chat which of them most closely aligns with where your culture is at the moment. The reason for that is not just to share it with the rest of the room, but because the steps that you're going to take will depend on where you are at the moment. Like, it's where you start from, right? So the first one is this resistant culture. So these are people who don't want to change, and they push back against any sort of change. They just don't want to. They know changes have. They know that things are changing, but they don't want to change themselves. Okay, so just keep in mind, is that representative of your team as a whole? Obviously, different people at different levels, but is your team resistant? And the next one is the reluctant culture. So they go, yeah, look, we know change is happening, but you've got to drag me kicking and screaming to make things happen. Okay, so they'll do it, but they'll do it reluctantly because they feel if they don't, they lose a job, or there's going to be some penalty that's greater than them actually forcing themselves to change. And the next one is a compliant culture. So compliant people will go, yep, okay, I know change is happening. Tell me what to do and I'll just do it. Okay, as long as you tell me what to do, I'll do it. So that's compliant. So those 3 are on the surviving end of that scale. Then we start looking at the more positive ones. So this is thriving or engaged. Okay, so all of these 3 are about being engaged. So this one, proactive, is where people are actually coming up with ideas. So maybe at a staff meeting you say, who's got an idea? And instead of them being dead silence, somebody will share an idea, or they'll come up to you privately. So they're being proactive now. They're thinking about ways to make their workplace and their work and their ultimate outcomes for the organization better. You may be there. The next one is they're empowered. So they're not just giving you ideas, but they feel empowered to actually act on their ideas, their initiatives. Maybe they check in with you, but they also feel that I've got the skills to do stuff and maybe mobilize a group of my team members and do something. They don't always have to rely on just pushing information up the hierarchy and hope that it gets actioned. And the last one is that they're inspired. They're at a place where you have to push them out of the door. You have to force them to take leave because they're so embedded and immersed and inspired by the work that they're doing because it aligns with their passion. Okay, so those are 6 different levels of change. Have a little think about where you fit, where you think your team fits, and I'm going to give you a poll in a sec. Just give you a couple more seconds to think about where you're at. Okay, let me hide that so we can see the poll properly. Okay, and there's no right answer to this. Okay, and so honestly, where do you think you're at? Okay, are you resistant A, reluctant B, compliant C, proactive D, empowered E, and inspired F? Okay, all right. So most people are kind of at the, compliant to proactive. Okay, good. So kind of at the, like, teetering at this edge of going, we're surviving, but we're also getting people who are being proactive, which is good. Okay, so let's look at, and we'll spend our time more on those 3 in the middle. Okay.